Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. And welcome, everybody, to my Independence Report. It is Monday. It's 4 o'clock Pacific time, and it is hot here. See, and so some of you in other parts of the country, you'll say, what a wimp, because it's 90 here, but our humidity is not high. In most of the country, the humidity is like 90%, and it's 90 degrees, and you sweat.
It's hot,
really
hot.
Yeah, there's no point in taking a shower. You're just going to sweat it up again.
Yeah.
So, this is Natasha Venter, and this is, what's his name? Regan Forston. And this is Life Between Lives, where we talk about life after death, life between lives, and surprisingly enough, a whole bunch of stuff all around that. And other stuff as well.
Yeah, because life is all caught up in everything that we do, and so we might as well talk about everything.
That is pretty seamless, quite frankly. And Regan just told me that it's 69 degrees where he is in California.
Yeah, right here by San Francisco, it's not bad. But inland, you go inland about 100 miles, and it's usually it's in the 90s right now. Or, like Sacramento will get in the summertime sometimes 103, 105, and usually in the Bay Area here, if it's 105 there, it'll be like 85 or 90 here. So our hot days are when it gets to be little 90s, in the 90s sometimes. So that's why nobody around here really has air conditioning, because you only need it a few times a year.
Yep.
So it's nice.
This is one of those days when it would be nice to have. But in any event. What are we talking about today? I know whose turn is it to pick?
I don't know.
Well, it's kind of one of those things that, I've been, dealing with this myself. We've in the solstice energy in between the eclipse and the full moon that's on Wednesday. And so a lot of us are probably feeling a lot of this wow. And I know that a lot of the energies coming in are going to bring us into, being able to tap in with the star people, bringing in, just into, and I did a fair on Saturday, and a lot of people were dealing with a lot of, just emotions that they didn't know where they came from. And I personally went through a lot of going back into my childhood, dealing with a lot of my shadow work. And so it was like, oh, well, that makes sense why things are happening here. And so I just wanted people to know that if you're dealing with this, just navigate it. The first thing that comes to your mind, just work with it. Know that it's not something to hold on to. Just go, oh, okay, time to move on from that and go forward. But, I don't know what we want to talk about. I know that there's just a lot of things going on right now that are just amazing if we just walk forward.
Yeah, I know, every week there's more about the UFO phenomena. They had John Podesta, I guess, the former high up government guy, was on 60 Minutes last night. No, it was on CNN that I saw him. And he was just saying how the government just needs to come clean, and talk about what we know. Said it's something everybody should know about, about the UFOs. But I think it gives us some credibility because, he was high up in the government, and he's one of the ones that tried to force the rest of the government to be honest with us, about all that. But yeah, I think as we're going along here over the next 6 months or so, we're going to see a lot of changes. We can all just feel it, right now. I've been watching I just subscribed to it now. Gaia, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's one that you've talked about.
there's a lot of stuff on there, and you know, all of us when we're watching it, just try to discern. You know, you have to be open because you know right now there's so much out there that's being revealed that has never been revealed before. But then again, too, you have people with agendas too that try to create false information out there too, just to confuse you. So it's good to just listen to all of it and somehow go by your intuition, I think, to figure it all out. I watched an interesting one on the moon, and they enhanced the actual images of which were actual photos of the moon taken by NASA, and you see a whole bunch of stuff, and you can see where they smudged out things in the photos, you know, and that, and it's pretty convincing, you know, about
Now,
their.
when you say a whole bunch of stuff, what do you mean?
Well, like buildings and things. You know, some of them that are, you know, some buildings were 3 or 4 miles long. And then you can see where, and they have a picture of some, they were able to get a few of the pictures before they were enhanced or changed. And then you can see them like side by side, or they show one then the other. And the one that's not been smudged out sure looks like some sort of, you know, physical structure, you know, and these glass domes that reflect the sun, they reflect the sun back. It looks like there's you know, like lights all over the moon, you know, in different places, you know, where these glass structures. I don't know, it was pretty interesting. But I listened to another one. I've been so many of them, I'm getting them all mixed up now, but it was a medium, I believe, on there describing how, you know, to me, you know, because lately I'm thinking I'm losing my mind, or just because I'm getting old that I can't remember like what happened 2 weeks ago, or a month ago. Like, you know, we'll go somewhere for a weekend, and then a few days later, it seems like that happened months ago, or something that was months ago seems like it happened 2 days ago. And one of the mediums.
Time is shifting. Time is shifting.
That's it.
Energy dimensionals are shifting.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of had to go shut down a little bit before I started this, you know, because I felt so much in so many different dimensions that I had to even just shut down for a few minutes.
Yeah, they explained it. They explained it that you know, because there's no time and space on the other side, that time for us here is compressing somewhat. You know, so time is becoming less linear. That's what she said. And I went, oh my God, that sure makes sense, because it's not just me, Patty, my significant other's the same way. And people I talk to go, yeah, I can't believe a week's gone by already. Or, you know, when they have trouble, like, you know, remembering what they did 3 or 4 weeks ago, or when the timeline was, because it seems like it's all like in the now, in a sense, you know.
Have you maybe been diagnosed for CRS disease?
Oh,
or CYS disease?
I know what that one is. Can't remember stuff. Yeah. That's right. I remember that before I fell for that before.
You have. Well, I feel in good company then, being able to do that.
So I wonder if anybody else out there listening, if they're having that same problem too, maybe chime in. You know, because it does seem so. It's given us kind of a sense of what it's like on the other side a little bit. You know, where all you really have is the moment. Because when you're thinking about the past, well, you're in the moment now, thinking about the past. You know, when you think about the future, you're in the moment now. I mean, it's like things are just, you know, now. That it's a hard concept, I think, for us to get, and I don't know if we'll ever get it exactly, but just knowing that time is different, even if you don't understand it, kind of seems to help. You know, if you don't know how it works.
Well, I thought that the time was just moving faster because I'm retired now, and each day, and I'm busy each day, and it's just going faster. But you may be right.
You're retired. You just shifted gears. You didn't retire. You just shifted what the thing was you were doing.
Yeah.
I got rid of the job, and now I've got a job. But this job is a hell of a lot more fun than that job was.
I get it.
Who is that just chimed in?
That was Susan.
Oh, Susan. Hey, Susan. Yeah, Susan's
She says hi. She was giggling at us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's along for the ride, actually. She's been doing a lot of her own work too,
Yeah.
so,
Nice to
that's
have you here, Susan.
yeah, and that's one thing, my job that I just, been doing for the last 9 months, with the school system is now we're on summer break and I'm like going, okay, now I can take one thing off the list and do my other 2, 4, 5 things that have been on my list. And, we're all feeling this, like, how can we fit everything into the metaphorical 24 hours that we have?
I know.
But it's not the metaphorical 24 hours anymore. It's, sometimes it feels like 6, sometimes it feels like 36, sometimes, it's so off. And I'm just going to suggest for people that if they can, just breathe and just do what you feel like that's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And I know for me, even though I had to be at my day job at a certain hour, and yes, I did do that just because I wanted to honor the job I was in, I still had to manage, okay, do I leave now or do I leave in 4 minutes? Do I leave now or do I leave in 10 minutes? It's that, feeling when the right time is for my body and me so that I can hook up with the right energies then. And when we can do that, that helps us move into the universal timing that is being called in. And I did this mantra. Oh, I was navigating this, because I always navigate things about a year ahead of time. And I said, okay, let me be here in the now, in the dimension that I am, the one that I choose to be in physically. Let me be here now so I can be in the right timing. And my team, my guides and everybody, I need to honor the physical time that I'm in, to honor those that are around me. So can you help me unify my spiritual time and my physical time so that we can both be working together more so that I'm not so feeling disrespectful to the people that I'm around because I'm working with universal timing. And so if that can help anybody.
Yeah.
And Susan has a comment that is apropos to what you just said. Right now, navigating through an intense spiritual awakening is my full-time job on top of the rest of my life. And so she's working overtime.
Yep. I think we all working overtime, because even if you are just coming out of our COVID scenario, it's coming into that new energy that we're walking into, and it's hitting some people across the head like no tomorrow. And they're not feeling like they're navigating it very well. And yet you're doing it the better that you can. It's just one of those things we just gotta, okay, let's get forward. Let's move forward. Because I'm going to say that, like I got the mystery card one day when I was doing it. I actually read the book on what it really meant, because usually I do my intuitive work. And it was saying there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. You just don't know it yet. And I went, oh, that's exactly what's going on right now. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. And sometimes we feel like our life is not going anywhere, but yet it's going everywhere. And it's just fine tuning what we really want. That's the time to sit back and say, I want the job that brings me love, that brings me light. I want the people around me to bring in support. I want that energy to be something that helps me feel good when I go to work. You call in those metaphors that really help you be in life and with life a little bit more. And if nothing's moving for you, sit down and really start thinking, what do you want in your job? And it's not about it's like if you're looking for a boyfriend, I want the tall, dark, and handsome. It's about, what do you want? I want to feel like I can confess to someone. I want to, really think about those things that you want, the qualities that you want in someone. And that would really help bring forth what's going to be coming to us here in another couple weeks, couple months.
You know what I'm discovering, and the people that I'm talking to, is that there seems to be, and there's a time in everybody's life when you say, is this all there is? What am I really supposed to be doing? And I'm finding that more people are at this time seem to be navigating through, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? I don't necessarily believe that being a cashier at Fred Meyer is what I should be doing, and so at least that's been my experience. Regan, have you found that in the people that you're talking to that they're coming to you because they really would like to get an upper hand on who they really are and why they're really here?
Yeah, and the research that we did where, a bunch of us went to the other side and asked the elders over there about why COVID and everything. And one of the things they said, that as we said, I think in the last few weeks, is one of the good things to come out of the COVID thing is it's put a mirror up in front of everybody to really look at themselves where they stand spiritually. They're realizing that they're mortal, that this body, when are they going to leave this planet? And so a lot of people, it's been a wake up call, so that's why us, even in regular therapy, and probably why more people are coming to Natasha. I think mediums are busy. We're busier than ever because people they finally want to find out some answers, but now I've been spending probably an hour to 2 hours a day now answering questions on Quora, people that ask about the afterlife and everything. And I'm just telling them with the research, what we know. But then, you have the atheists that chime in and that. And again, I was realizing this week that, if somebody's made up their mind that they're an atheist, I mean, that's everybody each to their own, whatever, I'm fine with that. But there's just sometimes no sense trying to go in a roundabout, if we talk about the research and says, well, we've had, 65,000 people go to the afterlife and come back and they all have the same experience. And they go, oh, that's not possible. That can't be happening. There is no God still. So, okay. I'm getting comfortable with that anyway.
It's a hell of a wake-up call when they get there.
Yeah.
But that's what their journey is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so but still, I mean, I could have been that same person at some time point in my, in my life. I didn't believe in that stuff too. So, every time we talk about it, I think even someone who doesn't believe, that's just one more time you're hearing it. Same with the, use the UFO scenario. If you took a percentage of people that believe in it now as compared to 10 years ago, it's really gone up. Mm-hmm. And even in past lives, the amount of people believe in past life regression has really gone up. So it just means there's more, if they're bombarded with more and more evidence, and the evidence is out there. Like I tell somebody that that quote that Einstein said, that condemnation without investigation is the height of stupidity. In other words, if you really want to know, you can find out, you can, really do the research. But as human beings, it's just like the people that are for Trump or against Trump. They'll argue for hours and hours and hours and not get anywhere. Because yeah, so but I had a.
Did he used to be president or something? I don't know.
He used to be, yeah. Well, we'll see. And again, Trump, at the very least, he was good at showing the dark, as they said from the other side. He also mirrored with us our we all had to look at ourselves as far as our own prejudices and things and where we stand, like how far have we come with men respecting women like they should. And what about the police that have had to look at themselves and say, wow, if I turned into some, sort of, evil creature myself because of the work I do, and now I'm becoming like one of the bad guys, and treating people not right. So everybody's had to kind of look at themselves, and it's not easy to do that. Mm-mm. I mean, right now, if someone just sat down with us and just shoved everything that's wrong with us right in our face, our initial reaction would probably be to push them away, because who wants to look at all that stuff, But we, in a sense, we know, the people that do the work we do, a lot of times we don't slay the messenger. We just may have squirt him with a squirt gun or something, Say, come on, just don't. No, I don't want to see that right now, But at least we don't slay him,
Exactly. Natasha, I wanted to ask you though. Do you believe? I believe this to be true. You tell me if you concur that there's a higher percentage of people that know, without a shadow of a doubt, what's going to happen when they cross over than there has ever been on this planet at one time. Do you agree with that?
I haven't
believe, but no.
I have an understanding that this planet has gone through so much fear with the anxiety of what is my God going to do to me? What is my God doing this? Our spirituality on this planet has grown immensely. And so, yes, I would have an understanding that there is a knowing that where we're going to go. There's a knowing that we're not just going to die as a body like we did before. And I'm thinking back in the days when we used to ride horses, and the difference between that and now is immensely more awake, more into the knowing of that we
Yeah.
are moving on. And there's some places like India and some African American or some African country, tribes and areas that they've always known this. But us in the U.S., we had another path.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been and because like you figure the Industrial Revolution, all that we've done for the world is to bring ourselves up technically. We've kind of negated or put aside spiritual stuff and put technological stuff as the God in a sense, and as I understand, that's been the downfall of this planet a number of times where they've raised up. There's been societies that got up very, very technically advanced, and they chose technology over the spirituality, and the technology is what destroyed them again. So we had to start over, So,
So now, Regan, in your understanding with the people that you've worked with, how many times have we done this dance before, where we go from living in a cave to living in a high rise, and then we get broken down to back to nothing and have to start all over again? How many times? The planet's been around 4.5 billion years, so I imagine it's been a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I mean, we know of Mu and Lemuria and Atlantis, 3 different times. So, so
Natasha's dying to tell us. Go ahead, Natasha.
5.
Around five.
All right. So, let's hope that 6. Are we in the 5th time now? You think, Natasha? Or are we in the 6th time?
The 5th.
The 5th, okay. So let's hope 5 times the charm, But again, if we all blow ourselves up, all we do is go back to the other side. We go home, and then we go somewhere else and try something else. So, and that's what the guides and the angels, everybody on the other side is saying. All those people that died, they're fine. They're from COVID and everything. They're over there doing just fine, And the fact that we're all now. In a sense, it was like using the dark to bring people to the light. People having to go through negative experiences down here to kind of, wake them up. It's just like I deal with so many people in my regular practice with substance abuse issues, and right when you think the person's at their bottom, because they seem to have to hit bottom, go all the way down before they come back up again, and you think sometimes people have reached bottom, and then a few months later, you go, no, they were nowhere near the bottom, because they just went crashing even further down. But I've seen them when they finally feel themselves that they just can't. It's like you're cornered, and you're either going to die, or you got to make a change, and you got to get serious. And when they do that, that's when that's when rehab actually works. And some people, they could just have to go one time. I know a guy in LA who's 6 times he's been through, and maybe the 7th time he'll make it. But what a nice guy he is. I really like the guy, but
He likes the nurses. The nurses are nice at rehab. I had a question for I had a question to ask both of you. This is a little bit off topic, but not much. Do you think that medical science has gone too far and is saving people for too long, and that we should just at one point let them go? I'm thinking about Alzheimer's people, or patients that have lost their mind, or people that are in their 90s. They can't move around. They're sitting in a wheelchair. Have we gone too far in extending life?
Well, then if we start doing that, we're gonna get back to Lord of the Flies, where anybody over in their 30s, the young think they should be killed, because what a 30-something-year-olds know, when you're in your 20s. I remember having to read that in school, but I don't know. I think everything is just as it should be. We're all about learning, and people that are in Alzheimer's or something, they're doing just fine. I mean, they're going back and forth between the other world and here, and it's the people that have to take care of them or anything that are really going through even more of a difficult time, I believe, than the people that are experiencing Alzheimer's. What do you think, Natasha?
I really agree. And, to answer the question, it's the ones that are in charge of the pharmacies that is the question on, there's some people who, are on like these drugs and they're getting side effects that they have to take another drug for. And it just saddens me that we're going through these scenarios where there's so many reasons why our bodies are having troubles, and it's because of what we've done to them. It's like I've been watching sometimes the Food That Made America.
Mm,
And
love
it's
that.
very
Oh.
interesting how things started. You just even talk about the potato chip and Pringles and the difference between Pringles and a potato chip. And it's just kind of, and then we eat these things and then our bodies go, what the heck are you trying to eat? And I can tell you that my diet has, I know I don't want to live forever too, but I want to live to my better through the time that I'm here. So that's why I'm going to try to keep moving and try to keep doing. But like for me, that my diet has gotten, and it came down to my liver. My liver has feeling like I've kind of neglected it or pushed it too far. And so I've been working with my liver for, instead of saying, well, this is the scenario and I need to take drugs for la da 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 da, I'm actually going to the organs, because everything is intertwined, to help it navigate better so that I can navigate better and feel fresher and doing things. That's the thing is that sometimes we have to go back into our bodies to figure out why our knee is hurting. Why is this hurting? Why is that hurting? I have someone that is dear to me, and her knee has been hurting forever, and I kind of go, if you go to my chiropractor, I bet your kneecap would go back in. And she wouldn't have the problems. But that's not her story. That's not her job. That's not who she is. So I'm just saying, okay, I can see the dense energy around your knee. I can see a lot of the scenarios. And if you want me to help you, I can. And she's like, well, I'll do this. I'll put ice on it and then I'll talk with you later. And she doesn't. I go, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the individual path. Everybody has an individual path. Some people are going to live till 90, 101, and they're going to do it walking, talking, and standing upright and being very proactive. And then you got people who are 50 years old and they act like 90-year-olds. So it's just the perspective of who somebody is and their individual path.
So what about situations where, as an example, my father who had a stroke and he could no longer swallow, but they wanted to put a feeding tube in his stomach, which would have elongated his life for several years, but he couldn't understand, he couldn't communicate, and he couldn't even watch TV. Have we gone too far to keep him alive? They almost put it in, but we stopped it in time because we knew that he was not going to recover from it. Do you think that sometimes we go too far?
And yes, I think that's where the money that is made in our medical system is off of anybody over 50.
That's true.
And so when you have money spinning the wheel, decisions are going to be made. And a lot of people do not gracefully think of life ending as The body says, I'm done. It's time to be undone. We can sometimes do it with our animals, but yet we can't do it with our humans. And we're just as much of an animal as they are. Just got different, we don't have the fur. Some of us have less fur than animals. Some people have more, just as much. But, it's like all these different things that are happening that it's called just checking in and saying, is this the right decision? Would my family member want this to happen? I know that my husband, if something happened to my husband, we've talked about it. He knows exactly. I know exactly what he would want. We've talked about me. If something happened, he knows what I would want. So with that, it's that communication about something that a lot of people don't want to talk about.
Yeah, anybody listening to this, it's really important to do or write out a directive to family members of what, if you're in a situation where, you're on life support or something, what would you want to do? Because when you get to that position, you're not always in the right frame of mind, or you can't make the decision yourself. So, if someone says, no, put me on life support, because even if there's a 1 out of 1,000 chance I can still live, I want to, okay. But if they say no, if I'm going to be a vegetable, for 20 years, so just let me go, so we need to let our loved ones know what our choice would be, why we're, why we're rational,
Even more so than that, just so you know, they were planning on doing that, and they did not ask any family permission.
Yeah.
They were planning on putting in because that is what they are trained to do.
To save life.
Save life.
At all costs.
Yeah. At all costs. And that's where family members need to be proactive.
And bring that piece of paper to the hospital with you.
Yes, exactly. And be very proactive. Ask the stupid questions. Ask the unneeded questions. Ask the pushy questions. Communicate. There's no wrong in saying, I need another doctor's opinion. Let me have a different doctor's opinion, because that's where, and this is coming down to, a truth. What is our truth in this process of our lives? And anything we do, make a decision about a job, making a decision about having children, making a decision about having a partner, making a decision about life altering experiences. It's about calling into our body and finding out what a truth is to navigating walking forward. And that's where we got to sit quiet sometimes for a second or two and just kind of ask that question. And the first thing that comes to us is usually the first thing that is the better decision. And sometimes we have to put one foot in the other person's perspective. It's not about me. I don't want to lose this person. Yeah, that's true. Yet, what would they want? It's their body. It's their movie. It's their book that they're writing. Do we have a right to try to write their book differently because they're not able to? So we got to check into what is the story that they want to write. And like Kathy was saying, there are a variety of lessons with each choice. Life paths are an individual thing, and that's it. Who's to say? Who's really truly to say?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like most of the things we discuss on here, there's so many different ways of looking at it, So if like you say, you've got the medical profession who they're trained save life at any cost, okay, which a lot of times, they've done these life-saving things and they've been good. The drug companies, there's a lot of drugs out there that have saved lives and they're good. But then again, being humans, there's always the good and the bad to everything, like whatever can be life-saving can be life-taking, and depending on the people's consciousness and how they use it. So, I don't know.
It's not a direct line answer.
It's
because it's such an individual path.
But I think it's maybe as far as higher consciousness goal or something is to call out the people that are using positive things for the negative, people that are destroying and harming, and that it's up to us to shine the light on that and to try to wake them up, not just go along with it, So
that was kind of getting back to the original thing was, is it a knowing or is it a belief? If it's a knowing, then you know that where you're going is better than where you are, and you're going to be infirmed for however long that you have left. Wouldn't you want to go now and have and start a new set of experiences rather than hang in a wheel? I keep reminded of a time
That's why our there's so many suicidal. That's why our numbers are up.
47,000 people in 2019 committed suicide. 1.3 million people attempted.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Because they're having a hard time on this planet. They're having a very hard time on this planet. And people are making the choice to move on. Experiences don't stop, though. And frankly, I kind of like the one I'm having here on the planet, even when it's standing in 30-degree weather and the wind is blowing and the rain is coming, hitting my upper thigh because it's going sideways. It's like there's something about our experiences that help us find a way to navigate. And I would rather do it here on the physical body than try to do it in the spirit world, because this to me is the, I don't know, there's something more palatable about it,
Yeah, I mean, I look at it too. Like, I mean, I know the place I'm going after here has got more bells and whistles. It's like, whoa, But at the same time, I know that I chose to come down here to learn something. It'd be like me signing up for grad school, and just because it gets so tough, and I got to do a dissertation, and I don't think I can do it. It seems like too much work. It'd be like me just leaving school and not getting, not getting done what I planned to do. So. And I think that's with this life between lives things where I help people visit the other side, find out what their mission is, get clarity on that. And all of a sudden they realize that they kind of signed up to go through a tough time down here. So then then you still go through the tough time, but it's not as hard. It's like a mechanic at a shop who's a journeyman who's fixed every kind of car, had all these kind of situations. And then you have the new guy coming in. There's a car that needs to be fixed. It's going to take the new guy a lot longer to fix that car. It's going to take him a lot longer to figure it out, where the journeyman can go through the same problem and he's got all the right tools and he gets through and gets it fixed. So I think, we just got to hang in there. And again, we talked about suicide a number of times on here. Pretty much what happens with the suicide thing. And this is never in all cases, but in a lot of them, people are just trying to escape their lessons, and they find out when they get the other side, they're very unhappy with themselves. They go, why didn't I just stick it out?
Yeah. The next moment could have been different. The next moment could have been different and made the hugest difference in my life.
And it's, and anybody out there has had suicide, ideas of suicide. What's that? There's a term for it. Ideation. Anybody know what that? Anyway, if you've been thinking about suicide, anything like that, is just get some help, and there's lots of people out there that can help you to just get through the tough time, because it always gets better.
Mm-hmm.
And Susan says, no one knows our soul's desire. Our soul may choose not to evolve in order to help someone else evolve.
True.
Oh, true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have heard of instances where someone came down and they committed suicide, not for the benefit of the people left behind. In other words, because the people needed to go through that experience of having someone they love commit suicide and all that entailed. But that's more. That can happen. So I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios that can happen, but generally it's most of us want to, and same thing with addictions is kind of like suicide, but in a slower way. In other words, it's just something that we pick so we don't have to feel, so we don't have to deal with our situation. So it's like a mini suicide.
And by the way, I put the suicide prevention hotline at the bottom.
Oh, that's good.
That's a national hotline. If you know anybody who feels that is not right, and that they are in either bipolar or not well, or they're giving away their stuff and they're saying, "Gee, I'll see you some other time," or whatever the case may be, give them that line so that they can get some help.
Sometimes they just need to get through a rough couple of days. And just like the suicide hotline people, I mean, just talking to another human being about what you're thinking about doing can be all that you need sometimes.
Mhm.
You know,
And Kathy says maybe that final choice offers others the lessons, and that is their lesson.
yeah, I
Yes.
think yeah, it can be Kathy. Kathy's right sometimes. You know, so
Well, it's just like our children that come in, and they may come in for just a weeks. They may come in even for a woman who's carrying in the womb, and they lose a baby in the womb,
yeah,
or a child at 3 years old passes away, or 5 or 10 or 15, and those souls, I have an understanding, most of them. I'm not gonna do
mhm,
the blanket, nothing's ever 100%, because
mhm,
it's an individual path, but not a lot of them are coming in to support the parents, the sisters and the brothers, the cousins, that family, the friends, in evolution in their life to go forward. And I'm gonna label this, and people may disagree with me, but grief is the one awakener that puts you into a different frame of mind than you
yeah,
ever had before, that shifts you to where you have a different empathy about life.
yeah. Natasha, that's true. Yeah,
And you find a different look at what love truly means.
yeah,
And you find a different form. It shakes your truth. It shatters your truth. It shatters who you. Nobody walks through grief and still is the same person they were before.
mhm,
It's life altering, and when we walk through it, it changes us to be our higher self. And my love goes to everyone. Losing a child there's no words for it. Losing someone that you've been with for 50, 60 years, there's nothing like losing that person. Losing your soul companion is whew. So with that, my love goes to you. Yet at the same time, I would still make that statement. And believe me, I'm one that I've lost, within 7 years, I lost, my whole one side of my family. That, as we walk through life, that grief wakes us up into a moment that it's like, oh, life isn't the same perspective that I had before.
yeah. I had my client this week was very interesting because I know, and I keep statistics and everything, and I get my ego involved, and I go, well, about 90% of the people that come to me that want to experience the afterlife do, and spend hours there, but occasionally I'll get one that doesn't go. And so I had a person, or a young person, come to me this week. I did a 5 hour session. She just says, oh, I'm just making this up. I'm not even hypnotized. I'm not even in that state. We couldn't get to a past life or anything. So she spent the night. She flew up, actually, flew about 500 miles to have a session with me. So she spent the night with a friend in San Francisco, and then I said, "Well, come back tomorrow. Let's give it another try." So 3 hours, and she did a little bit better. But the reason she came to me was she was a young girl, and her husband had died recently, and unexpectedly, and she said because that happened, she totally went to her spiritual self, which she never had been before. And
Mhm.
she flew to Peru. She had an ayahuasca ceremony thing that she went through, and she had this, so all of a sudden she's seeing spiritual things and everything. And
Mhm.
so she'd heard about the life between life process. Her friend had gone through it, had 100% beautiful experience. So she flies all the way here, and then nothing. So I didn't really charge her, just I think the first day I just reduced it way down to just like a regular therapy session, and then I didn't even charge her the second day. And but I did see she made more progress the second session, where she was at least able to visualize a few things. But in her case too, she's thinking that the experience she's having is different than what she's having. So in other words, she expected it to be more like a drug thing where you just, and have this thing instead of being like a medium is where you're aware and you're awake and you're just seeing images in your mind. And because she was too awake and images coming in her mind, she would not even look at them because she says, well, this can't be because all it is an image in my mind and I'm awake and I know what's going on. And I said, that's what it is. I said, you become like a Natasha when you get really, really relaxed and you just have to go with the images that come in your mind,
Yeah. It's that trust. It's the trust. And that's the difference, I think, between me and a lot of people is I trust.
Right. You just have to trust. So anyway, I'm hooking her up with another therapist I know down in who does life between life sessions down in San Bernardino. And the money she was going to pay me, I said, save that and you're going to go to her because it'll be, I think, a 1, 2, 3 punch. If she goes the third time and she gets it with the feminine energy side of a therapist. And Avis, the person I was going to refer to down there, is just absolutely good at this, too. So anyway, I just wanted her to experience that because, but as we were saying, the thing is that brought her to her spiritual self is the grief that she's going through. It made her really, and she really does feel that he passed away to waken her up. She does feel that it's on some level. So,
Her mind is closed. She's too analytical. She's not going to do it until she relaxes and opens
too much
up.
in the left brain. Yeah, people that do this process, and even I think, Natasha, with you, when you're trying to help somebody, they, in a sense, have to allow themselves to get to their imaginative, creative side to really hear what you're saying, don't they? If they're just there analyzing everything you're saying, wait a minute, now this doesn't, or if they're trying to trick you or trying to something else, they're not going to get what you have to, they're not going to get anything out of what you have to say to them.
Well, usually when I'm doing a session that I can see when something like that is standing in front. And that personality, I'm going to call it, that energy that is representing their analytical self. Sometimes I've even named that analytical, that part of your mind that just wants to process this. We're going to ask it to step aside. We're going to that energy to step aside so that you can be more open. We're going to honor it for what it's doing, protecting you, but we're going to step it aside so that it can be a witness to this conversation we're having. We're going to have this so that it can see that what we're going to work on is to honor it more by trying to balance your life.
You just, Natasha, I wish I'd heard that just before the session because I could actually feel, I told her, I said, I could feel this block. It was like a brick wall at a certain point. And if I had said, okay, let's, this brick wall you're up against, let's name it. Now, who is this? And let's have a talk with that brick wall, and have the brick wall talk to me like, okay, why are you there? Or so forth. I think that would really, really have helped me at the time. So I'm trying to, that's what I'm doing, writing that down.
Yeah, because it could be different things. I mean, one person, it was shame. Another person, it was their teenage self that decided that, in order to survive, they had to be this persona. And so I just asked that part of them to step aside. Everybody's different, though. Sometimes it's a shy, quiet part of them that's very protective because they have to be so shy and quiet because they're afraid of being seen.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. So Sue made a comment too about how she
I know a man whose life has been going downhill steadily. He must have been on my bus at one point for years. Now he's homeless and has been an alcoholic for many, many years. He won't accept or seek help. I was told his soul wanted to experience this, and that happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it's hard for us to judge people and their circumstances and everything. And with the work that we all do, all we can do is hold out a hand and say, hey, if you need a hand, here, grab my hand. If not, stay where you're at, but not try to go down and pull the person up, and say they got to do this or what they're going through is wrong, because they might be in their biggest learning experience of their life, being homeless for a while,
Maybe a karmic thing too.
Yeah. Well, and you can use my my marriage as an example of that. We've been married 30 years. There has been so many opportunities that my husband could have gotten sober from the age of 12, 14 years old. He decided at the age of almost 50, 20 some odd years, 22 years into our marriage, to finally get sober after our kids were raised, everything like that, because it wasn't his time.
Yeah.
There's many times where he had a doorway, he could have made that choice, but he didn't. And, there's sometimes where, me being human as I am, I kind of go, well, I wish we could have done things a little differently. And he says the same thing, but we didn't. So, oh, well, let's move forward.
Right.
We don't stay there, but there's that thing though, that there's so many times where he hit rock bottom, like you were saying. He hit that bottom, but it wasn't aligned with the right timing.
Right.
That rock bottom was not aligned with the right timing. And with that, it has to be like Sue's person that she knows. He could all of a sudden say, okay, I'm done. I'm done with that story. I'm going to get sober and I'm going to get a life and I'm going to move forward, because that's where everything aligns with that part of it. And, even me talking with someone at a fair, I had to have him repeat 4 or 5 times, you are worthy. You are worthy of having the family you do. You are worthy of having the life you do. And it took him, his vibration wasn't accepting that. I had to say it, pause, breathe, even say that, you notice I'm stopping here because you have to, and then we said it again, paused.
Yeah.
And then I said, do you want me to say it again for you?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm surprised.
Yes, please.
When I do EFT, which is just a traditional modality that I use for fears, phobias, anxiety, and everything. And if somebody listen to this spiritual stuff is not what you're into, and you just want something that works, that's just normal therapy, then emotional freedom technique of this tapping that we do is like a miracle. It's almost a panacea for so many things.
Mm-hmm.
But in one point in there, when we're having people tap and they're talking about their issues, we have them stop at one point while they're tapping, and they say, even though I have this problem, even though I'm an alcoholic right now, and I'm ruining people's lives, and I hate myself for that, I love and accept myself. And when we get to that point, sometimes people can't get it out. They cannot. They say, I can't say that. I can't say I love myself. And I was surprised at how many people, when they don't know that that's coming, and all of a sudden you tell them to say that, they can't say that. So, but what works is then I say, okay, well, you can't say that. So what I want you to say is, even though I have this problem and I hate myself for it, maybe sometime in the future I'll be able to say I love and accept myself. And that opens the door just a tiny bit, because a lot of people kind of say that. And sometimes by the end of the session, they're actually beginning to say, I love and accept myself, and
That's huge.
Win. That's a huge, huge thing, because so many people they didn't even realize that they really hated themselves so much that they can't even look in the mirror in their eyes and say that they care about themselves. They love themselves.
I think that is one of the greatest things I can thank my dad for, is that back when I was young, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, that he put me in the front of the mirror, as sad and as dysfunctional as I felt, being dyslexic like I was, that my so low self-image, that he put me in the mirror and say, and he actually had to get me a stool, tell yourself you love yourself. And before you leave that mirror, I want you to say it 3 times. And I think the first time I stood there for, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, and he kept checking on me. He kept checking in with me, and he'd say, do you want me to say it with you? And I would say it, but then he says, no, I want you to look in your eyes and I want you to say that. And he would do this practice until finally I was doing that. And that's why when I was in grief moment and there was so much disheartedness in me, I had to find something that I loved. of myself. And I first off started loving my toes. Thank you, toes, for helping me stand up, because without you being there, I wouldn't find balance, you know? And so with that I found something, even though I had a hard time in my grief, because it hit me so many times repeatedly in a short time, and being a mom and at the same time, and the alcoholic, husband, I just was not myself at that time. I was really going through that life altering experience that, you got to find something to love. And it's of yourself, love of yourself. Thank you, finger, for being me, so I can point the finger at somebody else for change. It's like, it's just one of those things that we got to have those moments where we got to find something to love. Thank you, Nee. And by the way, a lot of people's bodies are hurting right now. Like my liver. Do you know how many times I say to it, I love you. Thank you for processing my life with me. Thank you for processing all the facts in my life, metaphorically and for real. It's it's that process of just saying that you love something really creates love in your life, and then brings love in differently and around you. That's when you find the partner that loves you more. That's where your relationship with a partner, you find love more with them.
It's funny. I just had this. I saw a picture in my mind. I'm starting to look for those. But as you're talking about that, Natasha, I saw a school. There's like 35 children in the classroom, and as the kids walk in before they start class, there's 35 mirrors around the outer walls, and they all stand in front of the mirror before class, and they look at themselves and they say that they love themselves, and then they start class. Wouldn't that be cool?
Or just even hello.
Yeah,
I'm
hello.
thinking
How
of
you doing today?
Or hello, you're great job getting up today. Oh, so many of these kids don't have.
Yeah.
I'm amazed they can get to school. Great job making school today. You made it here. Good job. And it's just one of those things that as we walk through life, that is the whole process of this. Like, is that if we can kind of just be in that moment of finding what love truly represents, it sure makes a whole lot more purposeful.
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome,
somebody in
welcome.
Morocco. Hello, Morocco. And so Youssef, is that Youssef? Is that how you pronounce his name, you think?
Let's see. Beats me.
Yeah, Youssef. I think it's Youssef.
And we try to warn you, even though other names in other countries are hard to
Look at that, Morocco locals there. Wow. That's nice to know we have somebody over there. See, it's the time difference. I wonder what time it is over there right now.
Morocco, good question. We'll let's ask Yusuf. Yusuf, what time you got?
If we're pronouncing his name right.
Yeah.
And Morocco. That's a place I'd want to visit. I've never been to before.
I've heard it's beautiful.
Well,
every place is beautiful, though.
Natasha, that's one reason I think that sometimes these youth programs that they have in the inner cities and that are so helpful to the children to turn their lives around, because in the youth programs, a lot of times they'll have someone there that becomes a mentor to them, or someone to give them, to actually see them, to give them some self-worth. And once a child feels like they're seen and they're heard, and if someone cares about them, that can change the whole course of how they look at their life, because, in the gangs and that, because I've had a number of older guys that were gangs and finally woke up, but they said they were in the gangs just because they wanted someone to see them. They wanted someone to know their name when they walked in and, hey, how you doing? And it just made them, feel like they were, like they exist, instead of being invisible, going through the world. So gotta love ourselves with.
And I know that's one of the things that helped, I feel, in my perspective and witnessing, that helped my husband sober is that I'm loved. There's times when, he wouldn't want me to touch him, and I know that. And then there's other times where I walk up and you're not going to let go, are you? Nope. And he would just stand there. Another time, and about 50 minutes of doing that, he started putting around me, and I would start feeling him. It's huge. It's healing. And he would slowly start embracing me. He started breaking down his wall. another thing that I want people to understand, though, is my who are going through some damage in our lives. We're going through these moments, and I have an understanding in our spirit kingdom there's something called an inner child. That inner child that kind of stays young, even though we're old, and that child can be hurt. It can be sad. It can be disheartened. It could be, I'm going to use the word totally damaged, thrown against the wall because of what we had to go through as a child. That is the one thing, and I was husband, and he, told him about this, not necessarily at one point. I put my hand on his chest. I wasn't talking to the 40-year-old man. I was talking to the who said, I said, I love you. I love you. And him breathing, and that part of him able to start healing because it was seen, it was witnessed. I have to do that to my own too. Sometimes kind of hurt, like this. It's really brought up the time I was on the football field and picked me. Even when I could play football, then on the playground, but yet the person I was, like I wasn't picked, and so I had to say to her, "Oh, you're safe. I love you. Thank you through that, so we can be today." Definitely not that, but that's sort of alignment, and if you navigate through that, move through that, that can turn us a more loving being.
Whoops, I'm losing you, Natasha.
Yeah, there's something wrong with your internet there, girl.
Oh, is there? I feel like I'm
must be your energy.
Yeah. You're blurry. You're blurry and cutting out.
Oh.
You gotta pull back your energy a little bit.
There we go. Is that better?
No. Just a technical thing.
Yeah, it's just too late. Well, at the end of the day, we've come to the end of our day.
Yeah.
And so therefore, Regan, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how does they get that done?
Oh, I want to thank the people that chimed in today. All of them. It was really nice to hear them out there and to get other people's perspectives besides our own. And that was they really added to the show. So thank you guys for watching. My name's Regan, and you can get a hold of me through you can see right on the screen, visittheafterlife.com. I'm on the board of the Newton Institute and currently a practitioner in the Newton Institute process. We've helped about 65,000 people in a deep state of relaxation or trance, as you call it, a state that almost everybody can reach, to actually visit the place where they go in between lives, which some people would call heaven or the afterlife. And you spend a few hours there because we keep you at a certain state. Everybody seems to be able to reach that state, like I mentioned. And you actually can see people that passed on. You can go before council and get questions answered that you have. If you have any questions at all about God, about your life or whatever, and these wise elders over there will assist you. It's a life-changing event, and we're getting the word out there that now it's available worldwide. Doesn't matter where in the world you are, you can have a session, because we found out because of COVID that this process we do is just as effective on Zoom or like what we're doing now. And we're just researchers. We're I guess you would say religion neutral. We have people from all different religions come to us and want to experience it, and they do. And it helps you, in other words, you get the answer straight from the other side rather than having to go, through anybody. So anyway, you can reach me, Visit the Afterlife. There's a free book on there right now. Anybody watching this right now, if you ask for, there's 2 books on there. If you want one or both of them, on the contact page, just say you'd like that, and I'll send you the free ebooks that talk about the process. So that's me. What about you, Natasha?
You can reach me at angelicclarifications.com, and I hope you can hear me now.
We can. Yes. You're fine.
I did some syncing and some pulling back. So you can reach me at angelicclarifications.com, and I am here to help you. And like I was saying when I cut out, I don't know where I cut out, but about, finding that love, finding the love for yourself, that inner child, those parts of us that are broken, feel broken, that I can help you with that. And that's all I'm about, is supporting someone finding love for themselves in one fashion or another.
And they get a hold of you by Life Clarification. And say that again.
AngelicClarifications.com.
See, I knew that.
Yes.
I knew that. Well, thank you both for being here, and thank you for everybody for participating.
Yes.
And by the way, if you want to go to my Independence Report, you will catch all kinds of stuff there. And let's see. Thank you for each. Kathy says, thank you, everybody. That was kind of nice.
Hey, Kathy.
Yes.
So anybody have anything else they'd like to add, or shall we call it a day for another day?
Call it a day and be back here next Monday at 4.
And just remember, please, that this whole process of life is called that, it's that personal journey, and just try to find some love in the moment that you're in, and that will help you move forward.
Yeah, anybody watching this broadcast at a future time, at 4:00, we may change it, but if you go to my Independence Report, you'll find it somehow. But you can always chime in, like Susan and Kathy and Yusuf did this week, and you can ask any questions about mediums or about past lives or soul, that sort of thing. And from the knowledge that we have, we can hopefully have some answers for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to stay at 4:00 on Mondays.
Okay, 4:00 on Monday.
So
Yep.
there. All right.
And Kevin, I did tell you that I was going through a lot of energy today. That's why I had to go to sleep, because I was in a lot of different places today.
Well, and then you took a nap, which you're not allowed to do. So
actually, it grounded me, so I was grateful.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and be kind to each other.
Week.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.